Alrighty, welcome back everyone. Apologize for the delay. I seem to have lost my hat. So I'm using a different hat now. So just apologize for the ring or whatever, the circle that you're going to see here. I realize it may be kind of distracting, but we're not going to be in this camera angle for the entire duration of the stream anyway. So apologize for the momentary delay. So right now, what I'm going to do is explain the setup since we are, hold on a second, since we are about to start a new painting. Right now, what I want to do is just to explain the colors. I'm just going to be using raw umber and titanium white, the fast matte titanium white when we get to it. The photo reference that you're seeing in the top left over there is taken from a copyright-free it's from a copyright-free resource, online resource called Unsplash. I have posted this in the comment section, the community section as a comment, in the community section in my YouTube channel. So feel free to click on to that. Again, it's in the community section of my YouTube channel, and you can download the image and paint along with me. So this is an ampersand panel. It's not the ampersand gesso board museum series. It's gesso board, but it's actually the smooth one. The local store actually ran out. I guess I bought all of the museum series, so we're using the ultra smooth surface, which is also really nice to use as well. The tone is still pretty slick. I had just toned, so sometimes I actually will tone the surface with within about 20 minutes to 30 minutes prior to painting, and then just use the slickness of the surface to move the paint around. Since this is a fairly smooth surface, I'm going to be pushing the paint around in this kind of format. And feel free to ask me any questions while I am streaming. Of course, since this is the start, I may not be able to get to all of the questions, but that's why we also have the moderators here, our moderator crew going strong, helping us out with any kind of questions and comments that I may miss. So I usually will kind of paint in the dimensions of the head, kind of like the size of my hand. That's usually my gauge of reference. And I'm anticipating that the paint is going to be moving, it's going to be pretty slick on the surface here since I'm using the smooth ampersand panel. It just takes some getting used to, but it works just fine. It's a little different from the museum series gesso board. So that's about the size that I want. And yes, this is going to be another portrait. I wanted to do something kind of, again, along the lines of a waterhouse. I like the color of the model's hair. Kind of reminds me of a waterhouse painting. Last time, the inspiration was a Nelson Shanks painting. Now, the inspiration we're going to use is for kind of like a John William waterhouse type setup. Hey Kathy, oh, I'm glad that you started the Rembrandt. And yeah, a lot of students have started the Rembrandt. The drawing template, at least for the first image, should be out pretty soon. Again, for online students. So I want to position the head somewhere that's not directly in the center. As you're seeing, it's a little bit to the top, kind of. It's centered on a horizontal, but a little bit higher up on the vertical. And I'm going to be editing the background with this one, and I'm going to be editing the dress that the model is wearing as well. So just a little bit of the Gamsol will help the paint to flow a little more, but not too much. And this is the Umber drawing to underpainting stage, and we're going to enter into the awkward stage in this painting in no time. So the awkward stage in the painting is going to be probably the majority of today's stream. Hey Christian Lamb, this is oil, using oil paints. So the head is kind of, it's in a 3/4, closer to the center, which is a little bit complicated. But right now I'm just positioning everything. And yep, this is raw umber, Winsor Newton. And I'm just using Gamsol to thin out the paint. And just going in with the silhouette. And as usual, we do have a special sale going on during the stream, but I'll talk about that later. And the hopes is that, so I'm going to spend about 3 sessions on this painting live. And as always, the hopes is that we can make a sale. It's a very fun and I don't know, it's something that there's a lot of anticipation with it, but it's a lot of fun to develop this along with everyone here in the audience. So that should be good for that. And what I'm going to do is test the tone a little bit. Since I said this is not the Gesso Board Museum series, this is the smooth finish. So I'm taking a bristle brush and I'm seeing how much of it I can flatten out. I'm not trying to subtract, but rather I'm just flattening this out. So if you ever use this panel, I recommend the other one a little more. Again, it just wasn't available when I was at the store. This one works perfectly fine. There's just some little things to keep in mind, such as the slickness of the surface. Let me see here. Hey Jeff. I like the philosophy of learning to see what you're looking at deeper than what you might think. Learning to see what you're looking at. Yeah, that is very, very philosophical there. Hey, Percy. You are welcome here, of course. Welcome. I also want to say that since we are just beginning, and I know that we're going to get a lot of questions, or we may get a lot of questions about the start of a portrait or any kind of painting. There are many different ways to start, and there's nothing wrong with using mechanical tools to draw. We had questions about that before. In fact, I do create drawing templates for my students to use. They take me they do take me a little while to create. By the time I'm done creating them, I feel like most students may be done with the projects, but in any case, there's nothing wrong with starting with, suppose someone mentioned a projector or something like that. You can do that if you like. It's just what I like to do is to draw using comparative measurement. So standing back, or in this case, sitting back, and comparing the shapes to one another and working, again, comparatively. That's what I enjoy doing. And then developing the painting that way. Hey Leo V, would this be called the block-in method at the beginning of the portrait? Yeah, this is more or less the envelope. This is the outside shape. So I try to go for the most obvious stuff here. Hey Jeff, what Nelson Shanks? Oh yeah. Nelson Shanks would say that he would say that painting is the art of seeing. That's one of his quotes. If we're talking about Nelson Shanks quotes. Hey, Sheedbra, what's the primed layer on canvas? Oh yeah, no worry. I'm working on an ampersand panel. You can actually see the. Whoa, what was that? You can actually see the tone over here. So this is a spot that didn't quite get toned yet, and I toned this panel with raw umber and Gamsol, just Gamsol to thin out the paint. Mind you, a tiny bit of Gamsol, and the raw umber. About, I think about maybe 20 minutes to an hour prior to filming And sometimes I will wait for the tone to be completely dry before I work on it. Other times, like this one, I just paint directly onto it and use the kind of slickness of the panel to help me move things. So the slickness of the surface is actually something that I'm going to use to my own advantage, meaning that I don't have to add too much of the solvent to get the paint to move around, and I'll be able to use a lot of painterly tricks while doing this. So now that I have somewhat of an idea of where everything is going to fit, let's see. Hey Milk, let's see. Good afternoon. What size? This is a 11 by 14 inch panel. Hey Habush, hello. Alright, so now let's move into some of the interior shapes. And like I said, with the start of any portrait, you can work any way you'd like. I recommend for beginners to have some kind of transfer drawing so that the block-in can be as strong as possible. The linear shapes can be as strong as possible, which is why I create drawing templates again for my online students. But in practice, this is how I usually work. This is how I usually draw. Whether it's a head and shoulders painting or more. And you know, even with commissions, I do work in this way. Except with commissions, of course, I'm a lot more I take it much more step by step. And I don't film the commissions either. I work in the same approach, but not on camera because it takes a lot more time, in my opinion. So I'm using the center line. So the center line is an imaginary line dividing both sides of the face. And again, like I said, I'm going to be using the slickness of the panel to my advantage. And believe me, this is going to look nothing like the model for a long time. I'm going to be using very simple shapes to push things around. And once I get about 80 something different shapes on here, then I will be able to move those 80 something shapes, or however many shapes it's going to be. Of course, that's just an exaggeration because I don't really know how many shapes this is going to entail, but I'm going to be moving those shapes around and reasoning with those shapes. That's how I like to work, using perceptual measurement. And things are going to be off, way off. And I usually say that I work from really wrong to less wrong as I go, which is another way of saying general to specific. And no details. Details at this point are useless. So I'm just looking at eye socket shape. Just a shape for the eye socket. And nothing else. Let's see. Are you enjoying this live stream? Please hit the like button. Oh, yep. If you are enjoying the live stream, definitely hit the like button for us. At this point, what I'm trying to gather from the image here is just kind of a general mass. Basically like a blob that I can sculpt around. That's kinetic, that's energetic in some way, in a weird way. Everything is going to be loose but accurate at the same time. Okay, let's see, Monique. Yep, when you, thanks for pointing that out, Julie Diana 1. When you measured the head, are you talking about the very top of the head and the bottom of the chin to be the size of your hand? Yes, actually, yeah. The top of the head. So typically, so great observation there, Monique. So typically the tear ducts, so I'm making some marks here for the tear ducts, are usually the midway point here. So I mean, this is a rough approximation, but somewhat the size of my hand is the dimensions for the portrait. So yep. Hey, F, is it a soft brush? Yep, soft brush it is. I'm using an acrylic brush. This is a very inexpensive brush from Michaels. And believe me, it does take a while to get used to looking at a painting in this early, at this early development. This is not something that comes naturally to me. Just like all of us, we're used to seeing images. I mean, we probably see a picture of a person like every minute or so in our lives, and especially now with the internet being the way it is now, it can get even more so. It can get even more difficult, really, because we're bombarded with images all the time, and so it can be kind of intense in some way to look at the start of a painting, especially a portrait painting. And I usually don't do that much linear constructing, just enough to get an idea of where everything's going to fit, and then I usually go right into the underpainting, which is what we're going to do pretty soon. Let's see if I missed any other. We had a question about the size. This is 11 by 14 inches. Oh, thank you, Asha. I'll remind you that. Thank you for your comment. To me, this is the stuff of nightmares. If I was to see this, if I were to wake up in the middle of the night and see this staring at me, I would probably do like a somersault trying to run away. But I'm trying to make a point here with the start of paintings, and this can be one of the most fun experiences, or it can be one of the most terrifying and stressful experiences. It depends on you, really. It depends on what you want to get out of your painting experience. In my opinion, if you keep the beginning of a painting, if you keep it loose, if you keep it energetic, you can find more specificity along the way. But a lot of times, at least for most of us, the beginning is the most difficult part of the painting, because we have to somehow detach from the fact that it's a representation of a human being. Don't think of it that way. Think of it as a series of shapes. So this is just a series of shapes, and how can I work with these shapes in such a way that it makes sense, in such a way that I can make sense out of all of these shapes, and then eventually it'll steer towards a more human realm. Hey, Neil, do your classes include painting in this fashion? Actually, the start of the Rembrandt, Project 5, the one that we're currently working on, we still have Project 4, obviously, and the for instance, this Wednesday is going to be the introduction to perspective in practical figure drawing for the online classes. But in general, Project 5 was probably the loosest of all the starts. Project 5. So Project 5 began very much like this, if not almost exactly like this. I should add translations in Arabic. Okay. Thank you for this suggestion. I will look into this. Let's see. Talk about one Louise poll. Talk about the comparison about tight portrait and loose. I feel like I feel like it's easier to start loose and then tighten up the painting. I think that that's a little bit easier than starting really, really tight and then trying to make the painting look loose. Although it really depends on, you know, the personality of the artist, but in general, I would always recommend starting a little bit more loose and then tightening up as you go. Because sometimes if you start too tight too soon, you don't really want to make changes. You know, if you start with a measurement, if you start with like a point here, a point there, a point up there, a point there, and then you're just filling in the dots, yeah, that'll get you the accurate proportions and everything, but then you set the stage for a painting that's going to be very, very laborsome. You're going to have to very carefully and meticulously go in and fill in the dots. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not very fun for me. And if it isn't fun for me, then it usually shows. Art is a very, very strange thing to grasp, artwork, because it is work. It's very hard work. But the thing is, it's a balancing act between, you know, left brain, right brain, being very analytical. But if you're too analytical all the time, then you're painting, like Nelson Shanks would have said, it's like a block of ice if you're too analytical all the time. But the same can be said if you're too loose with it. If it's too loose, and then there's no sense of structure, then it can also be kind of not the most beneficial thing to a painting. So it's a balancing act. It's a very weird balancing act, what art is. Hey, Douglas Arts. Oh, thank you. Are your ochre colors, excuse me, Ingrid, are your yellow ochres fast dryers? They are. Well, I've been using the alkyds for some time. I'll answer your question directly, because I was actually talking about this with my with the online students this morning when we filmed today's lesson. It's starting to get a little bit cooler here where I'm living, and I don't leave the heat on during the nighttime. So it gets really cold in this space during the nighttime. So what I've found is that the drying time has been affected pretty bad with my oil paint. So I've actually been using alkyd oil paints, with the exception of raw umber. So we talked about this with my online students this morning, and I've been using the alkyd oil paints for some time now. I think like 2 weeks I've been using them straight. But I usually say that with the alkyds, it's best to use them if you have experience with non-alkyd oil paints. But yeah, I mean, all of these are alkyds, and since I was already kind of painting before this, you know, I pretty much just leave the paints there. If you're painting every day, it's perfectly fine to just leave the paints there on the palette. If you're painting maybe once a week, then I would probably put the paints in a Tupperware container. I missed a question from Devin. Let me see, Devin. Hey, Devin Daniels. Do you think painting detail first can be useful, like starting a full rendered eye and working outwards? So, Devin, let me answer your question directly, Devin. So there are many ways to work, and I would never say that one way is the only way to work. So, for instance, if you look up a painter by the name Scott Waddell, he, from my understanding, he would do a very careful line drawing and then go in with like an eye and render until it's almost finished looking, and then move from one spot to another spot. And if you look at a lot of other schools like Grand Central, I think they call it Grand Central Atelier now, they work like that too, kind of like in a top-down window shading fashion. There's nothing wrong with that. I always say that all approaches meet halfway, and that's usually somewhere in the middle stages, because most of this is done in the middle stages, in my opinion. So you can start however you want. I mean, if you want to start with more details and not as loose, that's perfectly fine. And just because I like to work one way doesn't mean that it's the only way. And I suggest to experiment as much as you can. So thank you, Julie Dino1, for pointing that out. Hey Matthew, what are your favorite limited palettes? I love the Zorn palette. That's my favorite limited palette. Yep, the Zorn palette, which is just flake white, yellow ochre, cadmium red, ivory black. 4 colors for the Zorn palette. But to be fair, I pretty much almost always include raw umber. It's my favorite color to draw with. In fact, brown is my favorite color, so it kind of makes sense. So let's see. I bought one Louis Pole. I bought linseed, but it says raw linseed. Can I use it? I usually use cold press linseed oil, and actually I have links to all of the materials that I'm using, except for the alkyds at this point. I need to create the links for those at some point, but I usually say that you know, you can try various different stores online, but I do have Amazon affiliate links in the description box of this video. Hey, Define Arts. Oh, thank you. Hey, Leo, I cover my oils overnight with aluminum foil. I wonder if that will work, because it's not airtight. But, I mean, I guess some kind of cover, any kind of cover, will help to prevent the paints from drying. Remember that oil paints dry through oxidization, so chemical process when the oil paint reacts with oxygen. So if you limit the oxygen to the oil paints, then that will prevent them from drying, in theory. Whew. Yep. All right. It should be time, pretty much time to put in the underpainting values, and then start to build this through the values. It does prevent it. Awesome. Leo, thanks for that advice. So everyone, if you use aluminum foil, that can also help to prevent the oil paints from drying too much. You know what, Leo? That's something I should probably try out. The only thing is that this is on a 45-degree angle, so I guess that the foil would probably fall. But that's something worth mentioning. Thanks, Leo. Julie Dino1. Mary asked, is oil your favorite medium? She bought gouache, and do you have any tips for a beginner? Oil paint is my favorite medium, but my advice will be, and I tend to almost always say this, is that the fundamentals are universal. It doesn't matter what materials you're using. Now with gouache, it is going to dry much faster, so the same principles apply, you know. And now I'm speaking to you just from my opinion, because I haven't used gouache. But I will say that if you work general to specific, and if you focus on things such as perspective, anatomy, and you have drawing experience, because I recommend drawing for anyone, not just oil painters, acrylic painters, watercolorists. If you're using, you know, something like gouache, drawing again is a very important aspect, and that's why I have practical figure drawing in my online classes. And I'm still utilizing the slickness of the board to help here. Let me see. Hey John, put them in the freezer for the next day. Yep, you can do that as well. John, combining transparent red oxide, blue black is a great underpainting color. Awesome. Let's see. I struggle with perspective. Theist JR. Perspective. You usually want to think of geometric solids when it comes to studying perspective, and in particular with portrait drawing, portrait painting, figure painting. It can be kind of a task, really, if you don't simplify it and conceptualize it in terms of geometric solids. So that's actually going to be the lesson for Wednesday for my online students. We're going to have an introduction to perspective in the practical figure drawing. I should also mention that this is, as I said, in a 45-degree angle. So sometimes I have to lift this up so I can compare the shapes. All right, so now let me just get into the values. Hey, Paint Trips podcast. Oh, I'm glad that you like these virtual painting sessions. All right, now I'm putting in the fast drying titanium white. Here it is, so you can see it. Griffin Alkyd titanium white. That's what I'm using. And I should mention at this point now that I have a painting for sale during this stream as a special sale. The special sales are only during the streams. So here is the painting that's available for special sale. It is the painting that was created in a previous virtual painting session. It is another 11 by 14 inch oil on panel, a signed oil painting, original oil painting by me. So the special sale, if purchased during tonight's live stream, the buyer will also receive a bonus painting study on a sheet of canvas. So that painting is right here, actually, with me. This is the painting that's available for special sale. So this is the Cat's Rule painting. This one was created during a virtual painting session, 11 by 14 inch oil on panel. There you're seeing the painting itself. And since it is a special sale, it will come with, again, so this one will come with a bonus study painting on a sheet of canvas. So it could be this one or it could be another one, but in any case it will be on canvas paper, or not paper, sorry, a sheet of canvas. So it's basically like almost like a 2-for-1 deal, but the sale is only during the live stream. And I will post the link to that. There's also a link in the description box of this video, but I will be posting it to the comments in a second. Yep, I will pin the link for the special sale. Yep. So there is the special sale. And remember, the sales are first come, first serve. So just so you know, we have a painting available for special sale. Oh, thank you, David Lawrence. All right, let's get into some of the values now. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same brush that I was using to draw. And I usually say with the underpaintings, I suggest to work lighter and softer. So lighter in terms of your edges and softer in terms of, oh my goodness. What is going on with me today? First I lose my hat and then I mix up my words. So I usually will start my underpaintings lighter in terms of value, softer in terms of edges, because it's actually easier to layer darker when you increase the number of layers in your paintings, and it's also easier to add sharper edges than it is to add softer edges. So that's why I usually say in the beginning of every painting to work a little bit lighter and softer. And since these are alkyds, fast drying oil paints, I tend to work one section at a time, but not to a level of completion. I work one section at a time. Maybe I put about, I don't know, like 4 or 5 values and then move on to another section. Typically starting with the forehead. And I will be using a different pressure on the brush to achieve different values, kind of like in a drawing. So I'll be using the tone underneath to help me. Hey Douglas, hello, welcome back. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like the painting Cat's Rule. Hey Stefan, yo, what's good? Hey from London, what's up, buddy? Hey Jeff, I bought Winsor Newton Titanium White, and the paint is so stiff I can barely get it out of the tube. How do I... Really? That's strange. That might be a problem with the individual tube of paint. So for instance, this is Winsor Newton Titanium White. This is not the fast dryer. This is just a regular... I've never had that problem with Winsor Newton. I've had that problem with some gambling colors, but that's... What I would do is, if it's too difficult to squeeze out of the tube, probably maybe take all the paint out of it, put it on a sheet of glass, add a little bit of linseed oil, mix into it, and then retube it. Or a more simpler thing to do would be to get as much of it as you can out, and then add maybe a drop or two of linseed oil to the paint. That's a first for me, though. I've never heard that happen with Winsor Newton Titanium White. Hey Ingrid, how do you like the Griffin? I really enjoy it. I will say that it definitely took some getting used to, the Griffin Alkyd. I will say Griffin Alkyd's definitely a good one for me to use, particular in the cooler climates. So, for instance, my studio, when it's hot outside, it's hot in the studio. When it's cold outside, it's cold in the studio. So, for instance, if it's hot, then the paints dry a little faster. So in the summertime, I probably won't be using the alkyds as much, just because of the drying time. And again, this doesn't really apply, I guess, unless you're painting every single day. So if you're painting at least close to every single day, then this is something you definitely want to keep into consideration. But I'm enjoying the alkyds. It's nice to have the paintings be touch dry in 24 hours, no matter what colors I use. Oh, awesome. I'm glad that you're enjoying using them. And you're in a warmer climate over there in Florida, Ingrid. Hey, Siddhi Gupta, how much quality of linseed oil to use in a painting? I will say in the beginning of the painting, especially this early in the painting, let's make it a little more interesting, shall we? How about this? Ooh, let's make this interesting. Alrighty. So, question. Let's see who's going to get this one first. In the beginning of an oil painting, in order to follow fat over lean, would you use more linseed oil or would you use less linseed oil? Let's see who's going to be the first person to answer the question correctly. Let's see. There we go. Kathy coming in with less linseed oil. Yes, coming in with less linseed oil. And Stephen, yes, I'd use terps. Yep, definitely less. Everyone that wrote less. And don't worry if we got a different answer. Let me explain it for you. And again, I like this because it makes it interactive. So in the beginning of an oil painting, if you want to follow fat over lean principle, do you use less of your linseed oil or more of your linseed oil? Kathy answered correctly. You want to use less of your linseed oil. Remember that your oil paints already have linseed oil in them. They already have oil. So fat over lean means that in the beginning of your paintings, you want to use less oil. In the ending layers of your painting, you want to use more oil. That is how come we can glaze. That's what allows us to glaze. And by linseed oil, you can generalize that to any medium that you use in paints. So in the beginning, if you want to make sure that you have the most archival start, make sure that you use little to no oil. I'm not saying you can't use any, but use little to no oil. And that is because you want there to be, you want the beginning to be extremely dry. You want the first layer to dry before the subsequent layers. And if the reverse happens, then that's what can lead to cracking. How's that for interactive? Hey, Adriana Mouse. Yep, CD Gupta, I'm glad you liked that. And yes, solvent to thin the paint in the beginning. This is true. Now, different painters will work differently, but in general, that the fat over lean principle is pretty much universally followed by all oil painters in general. Hey, Charles Ward. I'm actually painting a male subject in Project 4 in the online classes. It's just by chance, really. I just choose whichever images. In particular, I wanted to paint. So, for instance, last time the inspiration came from a Nelson Shanks style painting. This time, the inspiration is John William Waterhouse. So the model, in particular, her head structure, her hair, reminds me of a John William Waterhouse. Now I want a pretty good coverage of the paints for the next layer. As I said, this panel is a little slick. And tell you what, the worst thing that I could have done was to go in with very stiff bristle brushes. It would be pushing the paint around. Whereas with this, I can easily, with these softer brushes, I can easily apply paint without too much of it lifting off. Does everyone, did anyone like that kind of interactive question? Let's see what the statistics say. It says that you did, but I don't know. Hey Ingrid. Oh, I'm glad you thought it was fun. I'll introduce some other ones as I think of them. I guess I should probably prepare those questions and have them on index cards or something. This is going to be fun. I got another question for you. Hey Mira, I'll be starting my new painting. Use your guidance. Awesome. Hey Sidhi, can we skip the first layer and move on to the second layer if possible? You mean the color underpainting? Yeah, you can if you don't want to do the monochromatic. You can. Oh man, this is going to be all over the place. Welcome to the awkward stage, everyone. We have just entered in the awkward stage. It's only going to get worse and worse from here before it gets any better. And that's just the way the process is. I paint with Griffin about 1 to 2 hours every day. Awesome, Ingrid. Hey, AHIEZ. Are you using mediums too? At this point, not using any mediums, just the paints. All right, I got another question. I want to see who's going to get this one correct. And I'll give you a hint. All right. So, question now. Let's see who's going to get this one correct. So in many of my streams, I refer to this as my favorite medium. It's pretty much the only medium that I use. And my hint will be I'll show you the medium, but I won't show you the words associated to the medium. So let's see who's going to guess what my favorite medium is. Who's going to be the first person to type in the comments what my favorite medium is? And I won't be using it in the first layer. But I wonder who's going to get that one right. Hey, Anna. What do you use at the beginning? The brown thing. That was... Oh, it was... This is raw umber. Who got it? Who got it? Horse help, very close. You wrote Venetian. Well, okay. Horse help gets it. Venetian medium, because I did say medium. So horse help username horse help. You are correct. Venetian medium it is. That is the name of my favorite medium. Now, in a second question, a part two to this question, what is the medium? Now, this one's going to be a harder one to get. What is the name of the medium that I recommend to everyone the most? Hint, it is not Venetian medium because it's harder to get. But this medium I've mentioned before is my most recommended medium to everyone because it's much easier to get a hold of, especially if you're purchasing online. So I'm holding the medium here. I'm covering it so you don't see the title. Let's see who's going to get this one right. This one is going to be a little bit more difficult, however, because I've only mentioned it a handful of times. Hey, Ariana, yes, Rublev, made by Rublev. And Breeden, can I even pronounce your name properly? Let me see. Bryden. So Bryden. All right, Bryden, you are correct. You are the first one to get it correct. Neo McGilp. This is the one that I recommend to everyone because it is much easier to get a hold of this and it works extremely well. So let's see. Sidhi Gupta. What did I miss here? Let me see. Oh, hey, Monique. Oh, I'm glad that you're painting along. Sidhi Gupta, yellow ochre. Let's see. Oh, there's your question. You must know that I am Indian, so sometimes it becomes difficult for me to understand your accent. So is there an alternative for this problem for my accent? Or was it... Okay, I'm going to scroll a little bit further. So you were asking before about skipping this later. You can if you want to start with color. That's a possibility. But when it comes to my accent, I don't know really. But I mean, I will try to explain the most that I can. Sidhi Gupta. Hey Manuel, what does Neo McGilp do? Neo McGilp is a gel-like medium, very similar to Liquin. It is a thixotropic medium, meaning it is pretty much solid when it's a solid gel-like medium that's only really fluid when a force is applied to it. It accelerates the drying time, but not as much as Liquin, and it doesn't quite have as much of an odor as Liquin does either. So it speeds up the drying time, and you can use it to glaze, and you can use it to add medium. Trying to make sure I get the angle here correct. Alright, so I'm looking at the angle of the eyes there. Yeah, I know, this looks nothing like the image. This is just a rough draft, a rough start, really. The eyes are the most complex things to place down properly, so I'm trying to place them down now with at least the correct relative angle. So see how I'm actually adjusting the angle a little bit? And yes, I know it's gonna look goofy, and yes, I know we're gonna have some comments about the way the painting looks at this stage, but hang on tight. Patience is the key. As long as you follow along patiently, the image will emerge. Oh, awesome, Monique. Yeah, thanks for painting along with me. And again, if anyone wants to paint along with me, again, I have posted the photo reference in the community section of my YouTube channel. Sfumato. I have heard of the term sfumato. Hey, Sidhi Gupta, are there any subtitles? Does someone want to check that out for me? I don't really know how to check that at the moment. Sfumato. I have heard of that term only through a Nelson Shanks demonstration video. I don't know the exact definition of it though. I guess I think he referred to it as a looseness. Hey Charles Ward, are you familiar with Mike Mom paintings? I just found him and really like his portraits that are backlit, like a sunset. Would love to see you paint something in that style. I haven't heard of the artist, but backlit. That's a good observation to try to paint something backlit. Yeah, I can look into that. I guess with rim lighting. Hey Marshall, Da Vinci used that style. Okay, I gotta look at the definition of it. Oh, hey Julie Dino one. So top right CC button, you will get captions. Hey Alwyn George. Alwyn George has entered the stream. Welcome, buddy. Welcome to the awkward stage of this painting, where it's only going to get worse and worse before it gets any better. And that's just the truth. Ooh, I got another question. So many different questions now I can ask, kind of like trivia questions to see who gets them right. I'll ask the question a little bit later. Hey Jeff, so when you made the right eye smaller, did you throw all other surrounding proportions off? The size of the eye is not correct. I'm not even aiming to get the size of the eye correct. I'm aiming to get the angle correct at the moment. The photo reference, if you take this photo reference and you reverse it, so if you use this photo reference and you reverse it, you'll see that there's a distortion to the right. It's fisheyed. This photograph looks like it's fisheyed a little bit to the right. So it seems like the right side is a little bit larger. So the angle, I was looking at the angle and it's off on the photo reference. So I'm trying not to mimic it, although I may have done so. And again, like I said, I'm just focusing on the angle of the eyes at the moment. So I'm just trying to do that. And everything else here is just kind of my best guess. It's going to get adjusted. So everything here, like I usually say, general to specific is working really wrong to less wrong. So let's see. Hey CT Gupta, do you have an Instagram? I do. I have an Instagram. It is. I don't post on it as much as I should. I need to post on it more, but I do have an Instagram. Hey Steven, no subtitles on the live stream, but tomorrow when uploaded, the auto-generated CC should be available. Oh, thank you, Steven. See, I didn't know that. So when this is available as a pre-recorded video, then it should have the option that Steven mentioned there. Hey Edward Soto, here is a fun question for the crowd. So what is your favorite subject to paint? Alrighty, crowd question from Edward Soto. What is your favorite subject to paint? And speaking of painting, I really got to focus on the painting right now. I don't usually start off this rough in the painting. I don't usually start off this rough in the painting. Hey Horse Help Portraits. Classic Master Portraits. CD wrote Upari. Awesome. Hey Marshall Watkins, Fantasy Creatures. Awesome. So it's not a fisheye lens, Steven? Okay, so then maybe it is something with the, I mean, the axes for the eyes. It's a little, it seems a little bit exaggerated for me, but I guess not. Well, thanks for that, Steven. I'm going to be asking you all the photography questions. Steven, whatever strikes me on any given day. It's a honest answer there. Hey Hector, don't know what to choose between figure and portrait. Mostly portrait lately. And then Ingrid, how many people paint almost every day? I don't know. It's a good question as well. Definitely appears to me that the nose is too short. So I'm gonna lower that when I get to it. So as I said, I'm gonna be reasoning with the shapes. Let's see. Hey, Irwin, would you approach a portrait commission any differently than a painting that you want to make for yourself? No differently. I'm actually doing a portrait commission right now. The only difference is the process is in slow motion. But I approach the commissions the exact same, except I take way longer with each stage. I mean, not at this very moment, but currently I'm working on a commission. This one is not a commission. Hey Marshall, my current project I have been working on for over 3 months now. Maybe January 1st I will have it done. Awesome. Hey Steven, the reason it looks off is because it was shot at 70, let's see, 70 millimeters. I think that's what the 7 millimeters. f2.8, which give a very shallow focal point in the sort. Whoa. So one eye is in sharp focus and the other isn't. Whoa. All right. Now that right there is the most technical answer I've ever seen to the photographic distortion. So thank you so much, Steven. I had no clue. Now I have to look into the particular lenses for that when I look at these posts. Wow. So see, if you were to trace the image, you would also trace that focus on the one eye. I didn't know. I had no clue. Hey, Doreen. Oh, yep. Thank you. All right, let's move the nose now. I keep returning to the eyes, though. The eyes are very striking. So and what I mean by striking is there's so much to focus on with the eyes here. It's compressed, so it's very complex. Sometimes it's not as compressed, the shapes for the eyes here, but here it's very compressed. I should have not cleaned the brush there. So what I should be doing is switching between a light brush and a dark brush. So here's the dark brush. Hey Alma, gracias por los saludos de México. Hey Jeff, it looks like in the photo she is squinting one eye, her left. It could be. I don't know. What would John William Waterhouse do, since that's the inspiration for the subject matter here with the hair color and all? It also looks like the photo reference has a little bit of a sepia tone to it, so I have to be a little cautious with that, not to copy it too closely. Not that I'm copying it, but not to replicate it too closely. Not that I'm replicating it either, you know what I mean. Hey Julie Danawan, I'm glad you like the hair color. Let's see. Oh yeah, as I should mention every once in a while. So during the stream, so during these painting streams, so I'll just tell you directly. So during these streams, I try to always have a painting available as a special sale during the stream only. So special sale means that if you purchase the painting during the stream, so here is an image of the painting, and I've also posted it, pinned it on the comments, so I won't talk about it too much, promise, at least right now. This painting titled Cat's Rule was painted during one of the virtual painting sessions. I wonder if anyone remembers when this one was painted. Special sale: if purchased during tonight's stream, the buyer will also receive a bonus painting study on a sheet of canvas. So it's basically like a 2-for-1 deal if you purchase during the stream. And again, I have the painting with me here. So again, this was painted during a previous virtual painting session. It's a little dark just because it's not really facing the light, so that's why I'm turning it. And it's also varnished. You see the uniform sheen, so it's varnished and ready to be sent to a forever home. So let's get to the painting. And you also saw the price there. Yep, so for all cat lovers out there, Hitteris Lender, is the grid method cheating? Well, you know what they always say, it isn't cheating unless you get caught, right? I'm just kidding. So is the grid method cheating? I don't think that there is really a way to cheat with painting unless you take a picture of a painting and then maybe put a brushstroke on the painting, or maybe 2 brushstrokes, and then say it's an oil painting. Then maybe I don't know. I mean, that could be a touchy subject, but I don't think that grid method is cheating. I don't know. It's just my opinion, though. But you know, most painters will say whatever works. And that's the truth. Most painters will say whatever works. Hey, got oh, thank you. Hey, Stephen. Photographers often refer to Rembrandt regarding the shadow depth of field in portrait photography. You talk about it all the time. Soften edges. Every lens has sharp/sweet spot. Oh wow! Now that's getting technical. I do use the term Rembrandt lighting often when I'm taking pictures. Hey Ronnie, oh thank you. Hey Teresa, do you also use grid method sometimes? I think I've used gridding. No, Siri, I'm not talking to you. No.
I don't have an answer for that.
No.
Is there something else I can help with?
I wasn't talking to you. Siri's so rude. No, I think I may have used a grid maybe once in my life as a class project. I'm trying to remember which class. I think it was my teacher, Paulden Hamilton. I think it was Paulden. It might have been somewhere else. Hey, the art page. Oh, thank you. Thank you for your kind words. I'm nervous at the moment, to be honest. I've really butchered. At least I really thought that I've butchered at least the basic shape of the head in the beginning. So it's really a matter of practice and trusting in yourself as well. This is kind of like a trust exercise with yourself. You know, do you trust your technique? Do you trust your skill set? But I've never used, to go back to the grid question, I've never used gridding to, whoops, there we go, get paint on me. I've never used gridding as a way to draw for a painting. I've done transfer drawings, but I've never used gridding. It doesn't seem like it would be as much fun for me, to be honest. What type of lighting are you using? I'm using a newer brand LED 60 watt light. If anyone's interested in the lighting, I can also create links to the exact light that I use. But to be practical, you can get away with a clamp light just fine with the right light bulb. Make sure that the light is at a 45-degree angle relative to your painting. Hey Fritz, how do you decide whether to stabilize your hand for detail work with your pinky? It looks like you alternate back and forth even with the stroke length. Brush size is similar. It's a good question. I think it's a matter of instinct for me whenever, when I decide to use my pinky. It's not like I tell myself I'm going to use my pinky. Sometimes it's just, sometimes it's just a reaction, if I need to stabilize my hand. Alright, now we're going to move further down towards the nose. A great question. It's more instinctual, really. If I feel like I need to support my wrist, then I will use my pinky. Of course, traditionally one would use a maul stick, but I don't think that it should need a maul stick for at least the first layer. But I don't know. We'll see. Hey, the art page, can I get a shout out? Yeah, sure you can. The art page. I like your username as well. You know what? The art page. I haven't done this before. I'm going to give you a shout out with my favorite gesso. And yes, the lid was closed. My favorite gesso, the Liquitex. Professional acrylic gesso in hand. Shout out to you, the art page. Let's see. I paint facing an eastern exposure. Is that good? So eastern lighting. Usually north lighting is what everyone uses or says to use when it comes to using natural light, but you can use any kind of lighting, to be honest, as long as there is light and shadow. Light and shadow is clear. Then you can use any lighting, really. And I'm moving the nose down with the paint, with the light paint. Yep, no problem, the art page. Hey Stefan, no need to apologize, buddy. Just to confirm, what color are you using with the white at the moment? Yeah, no problem, buddy. I'm using titanium white Griffin Alkyd fast drying oil paint. And this should be touch dry in 24 hours. And remember, in the beginning, I tend to work from really wrong to less wrong. And that's what I mean by general to specific. Hey Marshall, I hear the Otolites are good because they're close to natural light. I gotta look that one up. I don't know. Hey, or Russell, what are your thoughts about the right hemisphere cheating? I realized that techniques are learned by the left side of the brain. I hope that makes sense. So if it's over, what? Okay, I'm kind of confused. Right hemisphere cheating. Okay, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I've never heard that term. I wish I knew. I'm sorry, I have no clue. Hey, Julie Dino 1, you probably have to go. It's midnight here. Of course. Thank you so much for tuning in and being such a wonderful moderator, Julie Diana 1. So everyone, please say thank you to our moderator who has to head out, Julie Diana 1. I think he's asking right versus left brain for creating. Oh, I thought it said cheating. Oh, Oh wow, for creating. I'm trying to read quickly. So let me go back. So Aura Russell, what are your thoughts about right hemisphere creating? I realize the techniques are learned by the left side of the brain. I hope that makes sense. Yes, it makes sense. I misread it. So that's a question that I have to think about a little bit. It reminds me of what Nelson Shanks once said in one of his demos on video. If it's too analytical, so if a painting is too analytical and it doesn't have much from the heart, then it can be like a block of ice. If a painting is solely from the heart without any kind of analytical anything associated with it, then I don't remember what he said, but that's also not always the best when it comes to representational painting. So what you want is a balance between the two when you're creating a painting. Now, this is where personality comes into play. So, for instance, some artists are going to be more analytical just because they're more analytical, and that kind of adds to their style in how they paint. Others are more from the heart, and then that adds, a certain aspect to the painting that maybe someone that's overly analytical doesn't get. So that also adds to variety in painting. But in practice, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I wouldn't think too much about it. When we're learning, we're definitely more in the analytical side, but I wouldn't focus on that too much I just wouldn't focus on that too much. And just let it come naturally. Just let it be a natural thing. Okay, now I'm a little concerned about making the nose too long, so I'm going to have to do my thirds check. I'm going to check it first on the picture. I'm just using my hand off camera. Alright, so she does follow the thirds. And I probably butchered it, so let me check with my my caliper. So let's check here. So hairline to eyebrow should be roughly a third. Eyebrow to nose, bottom of the nose should be another third. And then bottom of the nose to the bottom of the chin should be another third. Oh yeah, I butchered the daylights out of that, so I'm going to have to move the nose back up. So that doesn't even matter. So I'm going to have to move the nose back up. So thankfully, this is like only 3 brush strokes. Had I put too much, it would have been game over. Okay, so I'm going to turn the bottom of the nose into the shadow. Hey, the art page, I'm using Winsor Newton Raw Umber and Winsor Newton Griffin Titanium White. It's an alkyd fast drying titanium white. Let me see. What have I missed? Okay, so everyone that was asking about what paints I'm using again, they're Winsor Newton. Um, Winsor Newton Griffin Alkyd Titanium White and Winsor Newton Raw Umber. And I'm in danger of making the nose too dark, so I'm gonna, as I'm adjusting the shape of it, I'm also going to adjust the value. And as I always say, I recommend to work lighter and softer because it's easier to layer darker and sharper. And I always say I work really wrong to less wrong. And that's what I mean by general to specific. All right, let's see. Hey Nia, I look forward to your paintings every day. Oh, thank you. Okay, let's double check that now. The thirds. So that should give me about the bottom of the nose, which it finally does. The bottom of the nose should be about there, which it is. So that's good. Hey Gia, welcome. Yeah, I completely butchered the nose. Oh, thanks. Our moderator's still here. Awesome. Let's check this again as I'm really struggling with this one. Yeah, Marshall. Okay. Should be good now. Well, now let's just describe it. So the hardest part is just figuring out where things need to go in the beginning. And then after you know where things need to go, it's all about just describing the things that you place down. Hey Tom, Holland. Oh, thank you. And at least from what my online students tell me, they always tell me that it's beneficial when they see when I struggle in a painting instead of getting it correct all the time. Now clearly I don't get things correct all the time. Sometimes things just work right away. Other times it takes lots of work to get the things to work. I think Mr. Knowles Deep. Hey Emma Stafford. Emma Stafford, hi, it's my first time watching. So, as your first time watching, Emma, shout out to you for your first time watching one of the virtual painting sessions. And everyone else, if this is your first time watching, please let me know. And of course, if you comment that it was your first time watching and I miss it, please feel free to type it again in case I miss it. I always try to give everyone a shout out, especially if it's your very first time. So again, if it's your very first time, I will give you a shout out. So again, shout out to you, Emma, whoops, hope you will enjoy the virtual painting session. Hey T, excited to see what my mystery painting will be. A few more days. Let's see. If are you? So is your username Teak, but you're So I just shipped out a painting today. I'm wondering if you received my notification. And I'm just wondering because I shipped out the painting and I sent the notification, but I didn't get a response from the buyer. So I hope that's you. All right, Night Fox UW, Night Fox UW. Shout out to you for your first time here. Hope you will enjoy the virtual painting sessions. Alrighty, let's see. We've got another Suri Nugent. Suri Nugent. Shout out to you for your first time here in the virtual painting sessions. Again, I hope you will enjoy the virtual painting sessions. Again, it's kind of it's instructional, but it's also kind of a fun and chaotic type of thing that happens here. And again, the community that we have here is such a wonderful thing in the virtual painting session. But as I always say, if you're really enjoying the content that you're seeing here and you would like to take your learning further with me, everyone, please do me a favor and check out the online classes that are just $10 a month. The online classes, again, gets you, so $10 a month gets you access to all of the lessons, all of the virtual classrooms. You can send me images each week. It's a total of 5 videos really that you get each week in addition to these uploads. So if you're adding all of them in total, that is, if I can do my math, 8 videos a week. That's more than 1 video a day that you have in total if you join the online classes. And there's links to that in the description. Hey Emma. Yep, I can say your name, Emma. Okay, Emma. Yep, no problem. Hey Kia Strawberry Shortcake. Kia Strawberry Shortcake, also new here and a new subscriber. Kia Strawberry Shortcake, I like your username. Welcome to the virtual painting sessions, and thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. It really does help out a lot. Okay, all right, so now that we have the nose somewhat in there, no worries, Emma. No worries, Emma. You're all good. Don't worry. No need to apologize. Let's see. Hey, Lee Win. I love your work, and I'm currently using your methods. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. All right, now let's move on from the troubling area of the nose. Now it's placed, hopefully, somewhat correct now. So the main triangle has been established. It's probably the longest it's taken me to get the main triangle. Oh, thanks. Got your message on Etsy. So that was just a response from a message that I sent earlier. I believe this painting is the Cat's Rule painting for any cat lovers out there is still available as a special sale. This 11 by 14 inch oil on panel, again, special sale. So that means if purchased during tonight's live stream, the buyer will also receive a bonus painting study on a sheet of canvas. And this painting was created during a previous virtual painting session. So in case anyone is interested in owning an original oil painting, Harjot has entered the chat. What's up, Harjot? Hey, Uncle 60, I missed my oil painting. I've been doing watercolor for 3 months now. Hey, Emma, it is 7:14 p.m. here. All right. So now that the nose is placed somewhat correct, now the information for the nose is not correct, but I did what I could with that. There are times when you just gotta move, keep it moving. So let's do that. Thanks, Julius C. Samuel Tovar. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Samuel Tovar. What am I going to use this? I'm going to use my caliper. Samuel Tovar, this is my shout out to you. I guess the caliper is kind of intimidating, isn't it? Samuel Tovar, shout out to you for your first time here in the virtual painting sessions. I hope that you will enjoy the virtual painting sessions. And again, this is a very fun, informative, community-based experience. Of course, I'm over here creating a painting, but of course I also can be kind of goofy at times, and life is fun when one can be goofy at times. Alrighty, Harjot. Alright, moderator crew. Looks like we have ourselves a situation. Oh man. So the lips. So I usually look at the distance between the bottom of the nose to the top middle portion of the upper lip, and I usually introduce a halftone for the top middle portion of the upper lip, and that right there is how I begin to place the lips. And I've noticed already that I have to move this up a little bit. Oh, thanks, Julie, Diana1 for hanging on. Yep, Harjot's got it from here. Hey, Charles Ward, lots of shout out requests. Yep, that's always a fun thing. Although I think I got trolled into one, but that's alright. It's pretty funny. The joke's on me there. And of course, as I was saying before, I tend to work from really wrong to less wrong. So clearly there was a problem with the width of the mouth there. So I need to reposition that. And I'm going to reposition it relative to the nose. And I need to look at this very closely in 90 degrees. Because again, as I said, the painting is at a 45, so... Okay. Hey Marshall, what is your favorite easel? My favorite easel is actually, I don't know, it's hard to answer because the easel I've been using forever is not my favorite easel, but I guess it should be. It's the French easel. It's a Julius French easel. Hey okay, gotcha. Oh, it's gonna be hard to pronounce your name. Mojtaba. I most likely mispronounced your name. I apologize. Mojtaba. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. That is your first time here. So, Mojtaba with the paintbrush in hand, Mojtaba. Shout out to you for this being your first time in one of my virtual painting sessions. Again, I hope that you will enjoy the virtual painting sessions and join us in future virtual painting sessions. So remember, we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday around 5 or 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I butchered the daylights out of the mouth. So I'm definitely going to be adjusting as I go. Butchered the daylights out of the mouth. Yep, I hope you liked your shout out, Mojtaba. Hey, Libro the Cosmos, how am I? I'm doing well. I'm kind of messing up the drawing a little bit as I go, but you know, such is life. I mean, I want everyone to, you know, to see the truth, to see that I struggle as well. But we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Oh wow, Uncle 60, thank you so much. Coffee money, yeah. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much, so generous, Uncle 60. Uncle 60, thank you so much for the super chat here. Thank you so much for the coffee money. Shout out to you with all the brushes. So Uncle 60, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Shout out to you with all the paintbrushes that I've been using in the stream. What's your Lourdes Ramos? What's your favorite art? For me, I think it's portrait painting, and not just humans, portrait painting of humans, but animals as well. I consider those, of course, portrait paintings too. Now this is something I should have thought through when I selected this photo reference. So as I mentioned, it's well, I guess Stephen can correct me here. I believe that there has to be some kind of filter on this picture. I have no clue. Hey, the multitasker, I like your username. Is it necessary to get exact proportions in this stage? No. It can always be adjusted. But it helps. I mean, if we can get the proportions right. As you see, I'm really trying to get the proportions as correct as I possibly can. What's up, Hardjot? Consider adding Streamlabs. Oh, yeah. I do want to do. So I'm using OBS, Streamlabs, but Streamlabs OBS, not OBS Studio, but Streamlabs OBS. I want to do that to do multi-platform streaming. So I want to be able to stream on multiple platforms, like so here on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook at the same time. So I do want to do that. Viewers can earn credits and gamble them. I don't know about that, but I'll look into it. Hey, Uncle 60, you need a PayPal tip button on your YouTube about page. I didn't know there was such a thing, but I can look into that. Thank you for pointing that out, Uncle 60. I'll look into that. So just letting you know, I'm going to lighten this value. I put in a darker tone and then paint kind of alla prima into it. Which, by the way, this method is a combination of both classical and alla prima. Alla prima just means wet on wet painting, in case the terminology may be new to anyone. Gia Stafford, the one who said my sis is Gia Stafford. Oh, okay. Someone said they were painting this image along with me. I think, Monique, it was you. This one is hard. This one is hard, very hard. No doubt about it. This one is hard. I'm going to butcher the daylights out of everything that I paint and then have to correct it. But I usually don't butcher things this bad. So just hang in there, folks. But also take this as a kind of a learning activity as well. So you know that even with the experience, the amount of experience that I have, that there are some starts that are more difficult for me than others. Let's see. Hey, Hardjot. Oh, we found another troll. Alright, at this point, I'm gonna just keep looking at the painting, as there's so much that I need to correct. So I'm probably not going to look at the computer for maybe a good 10 minutes, because there's a lot that I need to do. Hey Monique, yeah, it is pretty difficult. All right, so I'm not gonna look at the comments for maybe like a good, I don't know, like 5 minutes. So I apologize to everyone that's going to be writing comments, and I'm going to miss your comments. Sorry about that. It's not personal. I've just really screwed up really bad with this painting, and I need to correct everything. So moderators, please keep the chat going and let everyone know that I'm putting my full focus on the painting right now. My full attention on the painting. And again, I know that I'm not talking, and I haven't been looking at the comments, so I know I may have missed at least one comment. But again, I'm just trying to paint. I'm trying to put in as much as I can to kind of correct how much I've been struggling with this painting. Remember, in the beginning, this is the most difficult part, is to get all the shapes in place. And then I'll return to answering questions. Alright, so the painting has gone from a nightmare situation to a little less nightmarish. And I don't know how much time that was. But let's see. Alright, so I'm back. So I'm gonna see if I've missed any. Okay. So I think everyone was kind of talking amongst themselves. So that should be good. Hey, Charles Ward. No, it's not your speaker. I was just trying to focus on the painting. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, feel free to ask questions again. I had to focus 100% on the painting for at least, I don't know what that was, like 5 minutes. So no, your speakers didn't die or anything like that. I was just putting 100% focus on the nightmare situation of a painting that I was dealing with. So it's a little better. Not the best start I've had here, but it's catching up. Oh, thanks, Uncle60. Hey, Mariah, always looking for this video. It just showed up now. Stretched my neck. Let's see. Stretched my next commission. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Monique. Yeah. This one definitely gave me quite the scare in the beginning. I guess it's because I lost my hat. So if I lose my hat, it's a sign that I'm going to struggle. So like I said in the beginning, I was a couple minutes late because I couldn't find my hat, the one that I usually wear. And then I put this one on, as you can tell, it's a different hat. So maybe, just maybe, I struggled so much because I didn't have the right hat. That's probably what it is. Hey, Uncle 60, is any of the paint fast dry, paint dry? Let's see. Yeah, it is drying around the nose, around here. So as you see here, well, actually, never mind. No, I don't think any of it's completely dry yet. It's resisting a little bit, but it's not completely dry yet. Hey, hey, you're probably looking awesome. My dream is to paint like you. Oh, thank you. Do you think you can paint another landscape? Sure we can. I can definitely look into another landscape. Of course, this one definitely gave me a good struggle in the beginning. I may even have to change the title of this one after the stream is up. How to deal when you're struggling with painting. And just like I did before, when there was a light colored element of clothing in the painting, as I move down, I'm going to paint it differently, and then I'm going to, when we get into color, then I will paint in the lighter tone. I'm going to paint this in darker. Here, can you paint Baby Yoda? I'll buy. I mean, if you want to commission Baby Yoda, we can probably work something out. But I wouldn't be able to stream it hard just because, copyright. Hey, Steven. Yep, welcome to my world. I struggle with all mine, and tomorrow is going to be particularly bad. I wouldn't say that. Working on the Rembrandt. Ooh, I mean, yeah, this one definitely gave me a scare in the beginning. I mean, a lot of it, honestly, I think the more I analyze this painting, the more I'm starting to understand how subtle everything is on the model. This has to be one of the most subtle of portraits. This one is in very close competition to the Velasquez that I butchered a long time ago in one of the virtual painting sessions. I'd say I struggled way more with that one than this one. That one was a nightmare stream for me. Hey B, your painting will come up professional. It always does, so thank you. Hey Waro, which would you never use again? Raw umber or burnt umber? Also, do you use any alternative opaque media? I don't think I would say I'd never use one of them. But if your question is if you could never use one of them again for any reason, it'd probably be burnt umber. As I do really enjoy using raw umber for under paintings. But there's nothing wrong with burnt umber. It's just that burnt umber isn't what I use as much. Hey Julie Diana 1, man, struggle is really real with this one. I struggled so much so that I had to paint and not look at the comments for like a good 5 minutes. Yeah. So I mean, if anyone again is interested in the online classes, and the online classes is definitely more step by step. It's instructional. This is a virtual painting session. These are not meant to be online lessons by any means. They are educational to some extent, but the online classes is definitely the way to go. And again, it's only $10 a month if you would like to take your learning with me further. And I don't butcher paintings this bad in the online classes. At least I just jinxed myself. I usually don't butcher paintings as bad as I did this one. At least the start of this one. Everything's alright now, at least somewhat. And I'm just being honest with you, I'm not going to hide the fact that I struggled with a painting or with the start of a painting. Hey Steven, I've been working on a self-portrait. It was really freaking me out and I couldn't figure out why. Then I realized why. Now we're all waiting in anticipation. Hey Neba, welcome back. Everyone's like, why? Tell me why. I must know. Hey Neba, I do remember you from a previous stream. I believe I do, at least. Ah, the nose, come on. Even the nose. The nose is off. Alright. In any case, let's correct. Edward, yeah, maybe today is one of those days. I don't know. But I mean, it happens. I mean, every now and then, the start of a painting takes way, way more mistakes till you get it right. It's like anything, really. Ingrid, I don't know. I think Steven's answer was in his question. I think that's why he put the dots. I've been working on a self-portrait. It was freaking me out, and I couldn't figure out why. Then I realized why. I think the answer is in the question somehow. I think it's like I think he's trying to see if one of us figures it out. Hey Charles, no, I wouldn't say that. Oh, because it was about 30% bigger than life size. Oh yeah, would love to see it in the virtual classroom, Stephen. I thought it was one of those riddles that the answer was in the question. Ooh, man. This one. This painting. He meant, Charles, he meant that the portrait was larger. Hey, Phobiku, I'm so glad YouTube recommended this stream. I'm so glad YouTube recommended this stream to you as well. This one, in this stream in particular, in this virtual painting session, I want to say I probably made the most mistakes out of all of them. I think. I don't know what it was. It's all right now. It still needs a ton of work. But man. Hey Kathy, check the length of the nose. Looks short to me. It looked short to me too. I was trying to check with the thirds, Kathy, so hairline to eyebrow, eyebrow to nose. So it fits with the thirds. So I don't know. I agree with you, Kathy. That definitely does look off. But I mean, checking it with the... I mean, we can also check it with the photo reference. I want to see a little magic trick. Let's see if I can time this right. Hold on a second. Ta-da-da. Magic trick. So let's see. If I try to kind of look at the forehead. So it should follow the thirds. But there's all kinds of things wrong with this one. I don't know, maybe this one's cursed. Hey Marshall, the trick is to recognize mistakes early before they overwhelm you. This is true. Hey, Ellie, I think the curve of the right cheek is too low. The right. Nah, her right, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I see that, the mandible. Thanks for pointing that out. And I think that all of the major mistakes that I'm making here will become way more apparent, I think, when we introduce color on Wednesday to this painting. I'm going to dread returning to this painting on Wednesday, but gotta stay committed. But I think once this dries and I go over it with color, I should be able to see at least there's a juxtaposition of the color onto the monochromatic layer, what the mistakes were. Hey, one page self-care day. No, this is by far the worst start I've had, I think, on any of the streams. The upper lip, let's see. Yeah. Hey Charles, yeah, I never try to do an exact copy, but I usually mention an error tolerance, where things are going to be different, but, how different you make it from the image is really up to you, but I don't usually want it to be this far off. But little by little, it's getting closer. No, feel free to correct me, don't worry. This is one of many, many paintings. Don't worry about it. This is one of many, many paintings that I have going on, so if one painting doesn't work out, it's fine. I have many other ones, including a commission that I'm working on, so it's all good. This is as close as you can get to a reality TV show featuring a portrait painter. We have all the right elements. Hey Charles, I didn't think so. I don't know. Dear audience, I regret to inform you that portrait painting is very difficult, and this is the proof of it. But with patience and with the right training, even a start as bad as the one that I had is always salvageable. So no matter how rough it gets and how tough it gets, as long as you stick with, if you stay patient, you stick with the right techniques, using shape, value, and color, it'll all be fine. Hey Ellie, oh, I'm glad you're learning a lot. Hey Mariah, yep, the frustration is real. Yeah, I mean, this is the closest I think anything's ever going to get to a portrait painter making a reality show. This is like a reality TV show of portrait painting. Hey Stephen, the saying we use in the UK is an air of tolerance. Really? Siri?
Okay.
No.
I found this on the
No,
web, but the
Siri.
saying we use in the UK
No.
is an air of tolerance.
Okay.
Check it out.
Okay. I see. I see what you're saying, Siri. So yeah, even Siri is agreeing with you, Stephen. So I didn't know that. I mean, I just use the term error tolerance. But I didn't know. And definitely, if you're watching the stream and you really like what you're seeing, please do us a favor and leave a like if you haven't left a like. And of course, if you want to make my day all the better, I do have a painting still available for special sale during this stream. Remember, special sale if purchased during tonight's stream. The buyer will also receive a bonus painting study on a sheet of canvas. And again, I have that painting over here. Painting titled Cat's Rule. So again, you do have the chance of owning this painting that you're seeing here that was created in a previous virtual painting session. And included in the box will be a painting study made by me and signed by me. Err on the side of caution, this is true. Yeah, well, I use that term as well. But again, this is probably why this is why I always say keep your shapes simple and easy. So when the time comes to make changes, those changes are simple and easy to manage. So theory being put into practice, because I had to move things all the time during this stream. Alright, so now I'm going to put in kind of a grayish background. Hey, Blue Dragon, that's why I use a projector. Well, I mean, I don't know. At some point, I'll figure out all of the drawing mistakes that, were like huge drawing mistakes. But yeah, with a projector, then you wouldn't have to worry too much about it. But I don't know, it's up to everyone. It's up to your own preference, really. I'm not trying to turn myself into like a superhero or something like that in painting. I'm just trying to show you how it is. You know, sometimes one has to struggle more with one painting than another. And that's perfectly normal. Hey Waro, Venetian red, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, raw umber, titanium white. That could work in place of the Zorn palette. Yeah, that's a good palette to use. Hey Kia, strawberry shortcake. I'm having a hard time as well. My painting is a mythical senator. Oh wow. Awesome. Softening edges as I go. Now with a clean and dry synthetic brush. So again, feel free to ask me any questions. Any art related questions? Everything has went silent. And I think we still have about, what? We still have about, I think, 100 of us here. So anyone that has any art-related questions, I think the worst of it has passed with the difficulty in the beginning of this painting. I'm accepting the way that the proportions are. I'm not that worried about them anymore. So the demeanor here is now a little more relaxed. Hey Ingrid, is the paint tacking up? It is a little bit in the lights here, but I'm gonna, for the most part, be leaving this alone. Hey Charles Ward, do you get hungry painting for 3 hours straight? Keep any snacks nearby? Not really. If anything, it's just the noises around me that get me. Hey, Waro, try a greater cast shadow on the nose. Yes, could be. And I could just have this too dark so the cast shadow doesn't look like a cast shadow. Thank you for pointing that out. Is any darker for the cast shadow and it would be just straight raw umber. Hey Jeff, I watched Nelson Shanks paint sclera. Why did I say sclera? Paint on YouTube. He really has a strong personality and converses well with his clients. Yeah, he would talk with his clients as he would paint. Yeah. Hey Mariah, I'm working hard on my drawing too. Quiet. I think the warmth of the colors will make this painting great. Yeah, I think so too. I think that it will really need the colors. Hey, Kia, strawberry shortcake. Yeah, her eyes are difficult. I mean, everything about this model for some reason is very difficult. But in a way, I'm really glad that I didn't start this with color, because add on the difficulty of shape, value, and color, and drawing clearly that I struggled with the most. Oh my goodness, this would have been a disaster. Hey, Phobiku, how did you learn to paint portraits? I was fortunate enough to have really good teachers in my early 20s at a studio in Caminati in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I studied there for a whole year. And then Paulden Hamilton, painter based in Baltimore. For many years. Hey Mariah, sometimes I turn the painting upside down. Yep, that does help to catch any kind of mistakes. Hey, ha, exclamation mark. Do you believe art schools are necessary? So I usually say that, you can learn. I do believe that one can learn everything on their own, but, it may take you, I usually say, it may take you, like, suppose 3 years to learn something on your own, to really grasp something. And the right teachers, what they can do is, yes, they can teach you the same thing that you can learn yourself, or help you learn it, of course, because you're the one doing the learning, not the teacher, but it just accelerates the rate at which you learn when you have the right teachers. So in that sense, I'm all for art schools with the right teaching. And the right is a relative term, right? No pun intended. Correct is a relative term, right? So it depends on what you're after. If you're after representational, classical realism, contemporary realism, there are certain schools that, have that kind of teaching and others that don't. It's really up to what you're interested in learning. It's all up to what you're interested in. Hey Marshall, ever been called arrogant because you're passionate about your paintings? I've been called many things. Arrogant would be it would be a compliment compared to the things that I've heard and read. So yeah, I've had that word thrown at me before. Hey Ronald Miller, her eyes are a tad bit larger than the model's, more like a child's, and a little dark around the outlines, the shadows of them. Yeah, of course. I'm gonna go in with the bottom of the eyelid, or the lower eyelid. Hey Kia, do you have any tips on not messing up eyes? It's kind of a push and pull, really. Drawing in particular. Drawing is a series of corrections. So, it's really down to catching your last mistake. Correcting your last mistake. Okay, yeah, no worries, Kia. All right, Stephen is entering with a crowd question. A crowd question has entered the chat. What's your worst painting habit mistake? Mine is too heavy-handed. Let me think. I got so many mistakes. I think my most common mistake, I think, is elongating things. I think that's my most common mistake. For instance, I'm pretty sure the chin is too long. I didn't even have to look at it. As soon as I type that in, I'm already assuming I messed up the chin. So Steven's crowd question. So the crowd question is, what is your most common mistake or bad habit when painting? Hey Jeff, coming in with perspectives. Ingrid, overworking an area. Very good crowd question. All right, and I have to get back to her eyes soon. Hey, Waro. Let's see. I sometimes go to detail too soon. Oh, too much detail. Yeah, that can be. Mixing colors. Kathy says mixing colors on the painting rather than the palette. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes mixing colors on the painting can add a kind of a fresh look. I don't like the flatness of this underneath of the chin. It's hard to tell what's in the shadow, what isn't. Hey Circle, patch overworking is my biggest bad habit. Marshall, my worst habit is to stop painting and not cleaning my brushes immediately. Hey Jeff, using same brush for lights and darks. Huh. Waro, I'd be concerned about olive oil. I did use that at one point to experiment. Someone had told me to experiment with using olive oil as a medium, but it's not a drying oil from what I hear. So I'd be a little cautious with that. Hey Ronald Miller, looking fantastic. I can see quite well. I'm not too good at portraits. Wish I was as good as you. Oh, thank you. The chin is fine. If you shorten the face, would be much too round compared to the models. Oh, thank you. Hey Stephen, flatness. If I tried to do what you just did, I would have scraped back to the canvas. I don't seem to have a light touch. I think that could be just could be material sometimes too. As you know, if the brushes are too stiff. Maybe try watercolor brushes. This is a watercolor brush, I believe. I have watercolor and acrylic brushes. Let's see. Wara. Also, the right patch of her neck is a slight but noticeable angle in the photo. The entire. Oh, yes, I see that. Thank you. Yeah. Let's paint that in there. Thanks, Wara. Oh, what happened here? I don't like how much lighter this is in the bottom of the chin. And of course there's a part of the neck over here, or not the neck, the shoulder showing through here in the photo reference. But I'm gonna vignette the daylights out of this. I'm not even gonna spend too much effort on that because I just know that it's the biggest struggle is gonna be over here. Hey, Art Mix. Hey Mariah, take care. I hope you will enjoy the dance class. Also remember everyone, to any cat lovers out there, this painting is still available for sale as a special purchase. If purchased during this stream, of course, this will come with a bonus painting study on a sheet of canvas. So it's basically like a 2-for-1 deal at the price that you're seeing there, in case anyone watching is interested. Hey Waro, yeah, definitely small oil sketches definitely helps. Any kind of sketches really helps. Hey Steven, yeah, sure, go for it. One thing I will say about alkyds, if you get it on your hands, it starts to dry on your hands. And at first I thought it was hilarious, but now it's definitely starting to kind of irritate my pinky. So definitely something to take note with the alkyds. And I know where it came from because I used my hand to wipe off the bottom of the nose there when I had to adjust it. Yep, Stephen, you can make a suggestion, of course. My favorite circle brand of sketchbook. My favorite paper is Canson Meteon pastel paper. So I guess the answer to your question is Canson. I use Canson a lot, but I also use Strathmore. Hey, Ronald Miller, pulling that 2 round out worked great. I was just thinking the same. Why is it I can see what to do on other people's works, but when I'm trying, I can't? I feel the same way. Really. Sometimes it's easier to see things on, especially in the virtual classroom for my students. But then for myself, it can be really difficult to find. Hey Monique, what size brush are you using? Mostly on the face. Small round brushes. I'd say size 1 or size 0 to size 2 round brushes. Hey Steven, I'm sure you're going to do this, but the eye closest to the viewer should be as sharp as the one you're working on at the moment. Closest to the viewer. Oh yes, and she's in 3/4, this one. Yeah, I'm gonna get into more. Let's see, let me see. Should be as sharp. So I guess more in focus if we're talking about in photography terms. Yeah, I can put more focus on the eye closest to the viewer. This is a size 6 actually, but it's a very the numbers on these brushes don't apply. These are really cheap brushes that I got from the local art store, but usually like a size 0 to a size 2. So for instance, here's a Princeton brush. This is a size 2. So somewhere about that size. And the sizing could be different depending on the brush, the brand of the brush as well. I wouldn't. I mean, you could, but I probably wouldn't paint on an unprimed wooden panel, just because there's nothing really there for the paint to latch onto. I would always gesso it, but you can experiment with it. Hey Ronald Miller, did you once say you usually use acrylic brushes for your painting? If so, what do you feel is the advantages? Are the bristles sturdier? Well, I like to use the acrylic brushes because they're softer. I like to use soft synthetic brushes. I find that there are many pros to using it, but I mean, in antiquity, painters like John Singer Sargent would use bristle brushes because they can carry a lot of paint. Whereas with acrylic brushes, when you're oil painting, it's more for putting in one section at a time. But I will say that I like using the brushes, the acrylic brushes, because for one, I find that they last longer, just because a bristle brush, if you're not careful with it, it can get really tough and kind of shovel the paint around. Whereas with the acrylic synthetic brush, it's already soft to begin with. So I feel like it takes longer for it to get too stiff of a bristle. So that's why another reason I like to use synthetics. Hey Monique, having such a hard time with painting the lower lid on the eyes. Any tips? My eyes end up becoming too big as well. Let me see. The lower lid. I think it's a matter of getting maybe the outside shape of it correct, and then putting in the shape of the lower lid. So for instance, I probably have this a little too wide. And again, for those of you watching wondering what this painting will eventually look like, and if we manage to sell this painting, I know I've made so many mistakes, so if we do manage to sell this painting and you want to see the way this painting looks when it's completed, definitely check out the Saturday stream. Now I am going to continue this on Wednesday. Of course, tomorrow is never a promise today, but I will do my best to be, streaming consistently Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So again, if you're interested in seeing what this will eventually look like, this should be completed by Saturday. Hey Steven, an old photography tip: look away from the image and look at something in the distance for 30 seconds. And now look at the image once again. Look at the image again for no longer than a second. Look away. What do you remember? Is this true? Yeah, for painting as well. It's a good idea. I mean, it helps me to have to look and read at the comments, so I do end up looking away. But yeah, that's definitely a good tip, everyone. What Stephen has written down. Hey Marshall, Old Master made their own brushes. This is true. They would create their own brushes. And I think they were mostly round brushes too. Forehead's a little taller and more square. Oh yeah. A little more square over here. Thank you for pointing that out. And of course, this still is very vague on the outside of the face. Hey, Waro, I really don't like how certain acrylic paints feel so drippy. Yeah, that could also be depending on the brand of the brand of the paint. I'm just cleaning off some brushes before the alkyd dries on it. Hey, Miyoko, here I am struggling to draw a straight line with a ruler. I find that well, that was a good joke. I find that for me, I tend to struggle a lot for some reason in some paintings and not as much in others, and sometimes it's just a matter of just that's how it is. You know, sometimes we will struggle with the start of a painting or maybe throughout the entire painting, but usually when we're struggling with a painting, we're learning. I feel like you learn the most when you're struggling with a painting, whereas if it's always smooth sailing and nothing's ever a problem and it's nothing but sunshine and rainbows, sometimes we fail to see things that we hadn't seen before. So struggling is actually good for learning, and not just in painting, in many aspects in life. Hey Monique, you've got the angle right / tilt of the head correct as well. Well, that's good. For once I got the angle right. I don't know. Maybe I got it wrong. Hey Steven, there's a YouTube video of someone creating and making brushes on how they think Rembrandt made his brushes. Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. And I'm just moving the ear now since I had to move this to the right. Don't worry, I'm gonna fix the ear. Hey, Waro Waro, her chin base rises more vertically in the photo. More vertically? I'm trying to figure out what that means. Let me take a step back. Maybe it could be the angle. I don't know. But I'm gonna have to put something in for the background, otherwise the hair is gonna be too wide. I think the hair is also causing some issues. Let me see if I can correct it first without having to mix anything for it. No. I don't know if I can. Maybe I can. Let's see. See, that's one advantage of this painting surface being a little more slick. No, that's just gonna look weird when it dries, so let's just fix that with paint. Alright, so I'm gonna adjust the value for the background, of course. I don't want it to be light. Obviously, I like to always go for contrast. Oh, great. Just got paint in the wrong spot and the struggle continues. And again, Uncle 60, thank you so much for your super chat about an hour or two ago. Because this definitely is not easy. Whoops, see what I mean? Bumping into things. Now I hope I didn't mess up my camera angle. Moving the paints around. That was my raw umber tube smacking into the styrofoam. And yes, I'm making the background a little darker. But I'm using the background to move the hair. Hey Kathy, yeah, I must find the hat. Yep. And it should be it's a black hat. But I guess on camera it appears dark just because of the me camera, as I call it, is a webcam, so it's not as high resolution. Hey, Waro Waro. Oh, I'm glad the camera angle's still good. Thanks for confirming that with me. And I'm glad to say we're almost there. Am I using... no, I'm not using Ivory Black in the background. It's just raw umber and titanium white. And of course I like the brush strokes to show. So I'm going to leave some of it, you know, some of the brush strokes. Now for the hair, I may put some light, some of the kind of grayish tone. Or just paint it opaque. I think, no, I'll go with the latter. I'll just paint it more opaque when we introduce color. Not an easy start, I will say. And everything down here, of course, I'm going to leave to vignette. Okay, so now I'll just go ahead and smoothen out any irregularities with a fan brush. Okay, that doesn't work. Hold on a second. Clean and dry synthetic brush. Hey, Ronald Miller. Yeah, you're right. The hair was too wide, but don't be so hard on yourself. It's looking fantastic. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Ronald Miller. Yeah, I can't wait to paint color into this one. And again, I hope that this is informative for everyone. Again, it's not an online lesson by any means. And again, if you are interested in taking online classes with me, despite all of the mistakes I made here, please check out the online classes for $10 a month. Again, none of this is edited. There's no editing going on here. None of the footage has been sped up or anything like that. So you've pretty much been seeing every aspect of this painting process. And again, this is not the process I recommend anyone just beginning to start out with. I always begin to use a transfer drawing process. I always suggest that. You know, once you have at least one portrait that you've done using a transfer drawing, I think that that's a good foundation to at least know what to look for in terms of accuracy. But yeah, this is coming to a close. Take care, Stephen. Oh wow, 2 a.m. over there. Yep, so just softening things now. And again, this painting, if any cat lovers out there, this painting is still available for special sale during the duration of the stream. We're going to be here for a couple minutes more, and then the stream will end, and then the special sale will end. So again, if anyone is interested, if purchased during the stream, as you know, this will come with a painting study. Painting study will be added in your box, so it's like 2 paintings for the price of 1. So again, here is the little kitty. Let's see if the little kitty will end up being, well, you know. Let's hope that I can't make any puns there. If you are interested in that painting as a special sale, it is still available. Alright. So I'm going to step back again. I shouldn't have put paint on this brush. This was only a blending brush. Hey Fred, to me, nothing helps to learn more than watching an artist resolve problems. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that this helps. For the most part, all the huge problems have been resolved. And I've reached my error tolerance. So again, it's going to become more and more accurate as we develop the painting, of course. But my error tolerance, at least for the underpainting, has been met. So now I'm just covering up any irregularities that I don't want to show in the next layer. Hey Juby, thank you. Now this has been one action-packed, very slow process, but action-packed stream, definitely. Take care, Waro Waro. Alright, so as usual, I usually hang out for a little while after each stream. So I think that should be about good for this. I'm going to let it dry. Of course, let me change camera angles so I can talk to you directly. So I'm going to just hang out for a little bit, clean off the brushes like I usually do in the ending of each stream. And this should be the dedicated questions and answers time in the stream. So definitely, if you've been wanting to ask me any questions but maybe didn't ask them during the painting footage, feel free to ask the questions now, as I'll just be cleaning off the brushes. Then I'll be cleaning off the palette, and then we'll be good to go. And thanks everyone for leaving a like. I think we have 199 likes. Almost at 200 likes. Look at that. Thank you so much, everyone, for leaving a like. And again, yep, the cat, the special sale painting is still available for purchase as a, again, special sale. So this one is still available if anyone is interested. Oh, thank you so much, Ronald Miller. Thank you. Alrighty. Ronald Miller with the fan brush. Thank you so much for your super chat here on my YouTube channel during one of the live streams. Thank you again, Ronald Miller. Super chats help me out so much. Again, thank you so much. Thanks, Monique. So, yep, that noise that you're hearing in the background is just the paintbrush kind of dragging onto the paper towel. I realized, well, at least my computer seems to be lagging, so I apologize if the footage is lagging for you. Hey Juby, what brushes do I use? I use very cheap brushes. Actually, I use very inexpensive watercolor and acrylic brushes, but I will say, actually, let's do this. For everyone that's still here, I think we still have about, it says 100 of us, but I wonder how many of us are still here. So let's see who can answer this one correctly as I'm cleaning off the brushes. Who out there knows the name of my favorite brush, my favorite brush ever that I like to use. Let's see who's gonna get the right answer first. Hey Monique, any tips for getting the cap off tubes besides using pliers? Oh, there we go. Marshall coming in with Princeton brand brushes. Yes, that is the answer to your question, Juby. I really like to use Princeton brushes. In particular, my favorite brush, this brush right here. This is listed in the description box of this video as my favorite brush. It is a Princeton Catalyst Polytip Bristle. It is a bristle synthetic mix brush. And it's a very awkward looking brush, as I am a very awkward looking painter. But the Princeton Catalyst Polytip Bristle Egbert. This is, what is it, size 6 Egbert brush. This is my favorite brush to use. Yep, Princeton brush. You are correct, Neldia. And it's the only brush that I clean twice. So once I clean the paint off of it with the odorless mineral spirits or turpentine or whichever solvent I'm using, I clean it then a second time using hot water and dish soap. Size 8. I do have size 8 Princeton Catalyst Polytip bristles as well. They're all my favorites, really. It's just that's the one that was on hand, Monique. But yeah, they're all of the Princeton Catalyst Polytip bristles, Egberts. I really like those brushes. They last a long time, I will say. Sorry, I'm shaking everything. Everything is connected to my setup here. Hey, Ennis man. Have you tried Dynasty brand interlock bronze brushes? No, I haven't. Okay. Hey Juby, what brand, what canvas do you normally use? This is a what? Really? This is an ampersand panel, ampersand brand panel. This is actually not my favorite panel that I use. This is the ampersand smooth finish panel, which is actually kind of nice because it glares way less. But I usually like to use ampersand and Gesso board museum series as my favorite painting surface to work on. So basically ampersand panels. And I also have that listed in the description box of this video. So now all the brushes have been cleaned with solvent. Yes, you're right. This is the one titled Clayboard. You're right, the smooth finish Clayboard. It's the one with the Raphael painting in the corner. But the one that I like to use is the one that is titled Museum Series, and it has like a close-up image of a landscape on it. But again, the art store ran out of it, so I got this one instead. Yep, I did get a lot of brushes on sale at Michael's. This is true. But I gotta get some more brushes, really. Oh, whoops. There goes my ultramarine blue. Hey Ronald, let's see. Oh, thanks for answering that question for me, Kathy. I don't know how I didn't read it. Sorry about that. So yep, Ronald, I do get the brushes from Michael's. That's usually where I get my brushes from. Hey Marshall, that can work too. What surface are you spreading the paint? This is just a piece of glass. This is the glass that was taken from, taken off of a picture, and I just put it over top of a piece of foam board, which is what I bumped into accidentally earlier today. I'm gonna have to cut the foam board because it's not the first time I've crashed into it. And this is just, of course, easy to clean, the glass palettes. But I do prefer to use New Wave brand maple palettes. Those are like my favorite palettes. And I do have my favorite palette listed in the description box of this video. I only use this palette setup because it's easier for everyone to see. This is not my favorite painting setup by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but this is just what's easier for everyone to see. Oh wow, and this is also an issue. So definitely maybe don't do what I'm about to do, but I'm just going to use my hand. And again, if you do decide to purchase this painting on Saturday when it's going to be on sale, you will also get a bonus fingerprint on the bottom. So yeah, I wouldn't suggest doing this, but I definitely don't want to have to clean another brush. So kids, don't try this at home. And what I'm going to do is put a brush actually underneath of my platform here so that the edge doesn't get smudged again. Oh, Is the best place to share an image the start of my portrait on your Facebook group? Will you take a look and make suggestions? So Monique, really the best, as an online student, the best is to show me during, or you can send me an image directly to my Gmail, Monique, as an online student. And of course, Monique, since you're painting along with me, this qualifies as an extracurricular activity, Monique. So you can send me your image that you painted with me for the virtual classroom for tomorrow. If you want to send it to me tonight, Monique, I should have it in the virtual classroom that will be uploaded tomorrow. Remember, I use my live streaming software for all of the videos. So I'll be filming that probably tomorrow morning, and it should be released tomorrow evening. Hey Marshall, I have a tough time with palettes because I'm left-handed. I do think that New Wave, in particular, New Wave brand is going to be one of the best options, as they do have a lot of left-handed palettes. Hey Ronald Miller, one question: what 4 colors are most affordable and yet fairly good quality. I'd say these arguably the Griffin Alkyds. So Griffin Alkyd titanium white or just titanium white, yellow ochre, Winsor Griffin Alkyd, Winsor red Griffin Alkyd, Ivory black Griffin Alkyd. It's a very affordable combination of colors. Hey horse noise, welcome. Alrighty, so I want to first off say thank you to everyone that has left a super chat during this live stream, and thank you everyone that has been leaving comments, everyone leaving likes, and and adding to this virtual painting experience. This one in particular, this one was a difficult one, a very difficult start, but we held in there, and we kept painting, and it, as I said, we go from really wrong to less wrong, but in this painting we went from super wrong to less wrong in a matter of 3 hours, which is really short in the time span. In the grand scheme of things, it's a really short time frame, even though 3 hours seems like a lot. I think for most painting, I guess for most paintings, 3 hours is actually a short amount of time in order to get past that awkward stage. So if you find that it takes you longer or shorter, it really depends on how much you practice, but it usually takes a long time to get past the awkward stage with this one, as it did take forever, but we pulled through as much as we could. Obviously it's not 100% perfect, but it is within my error tolerance at this point. So again, special thank you to everyone. Again, I wish you the very best. And whoa, okay, I just dropped a brush. Wow, this stream has been a lot of fun. I wish you the very best in all of your artwork, and I will see you on the next one.